You're sitting there, right now. Maybe it's 2 a.m. The glow of the screen is painting your face that familiar, cold blue. You're exhausted. You know you should be sleeping, but instead you're scrolling. And it's not even that the content is good anymore. It's just there. It's a reflex. You type a thought, a weird late night question into a search bar. Maybe it's a symptom you're worried about, or maybe it's some obscure trivia about a game you played 10 years ago. You hit enter, and instantly, an AI chatbot starts vomiting out an answer. It feels like magic. But what you don't think about, what you never really let yourself sit with, is that the magic has a price. Because every single time you hit enter, you are giving away a piece of yourself. You are feeding a machine that remembers everything, categorizes everything, and slowly builds a ghost profile of who you are, what you fear, and what you desire. We live in a world where you're forced to pretend that this is totally normal. We're told that convenience is king, and privacy is just a currency you trade for faster answers. But what if it didn't have to be like this? What if you could take the magic back and lock the door behind you? That brings me to something pretty unexpected. A few days ago, PewDiePie, yes, the guy who made a career yelling at barrels and playing horror games, dropped a project called Odysseus. And it's not a game, it's an AI workspace. He basically built a free local version of ChatGPT. Now, I want to break this down because the implications here are massive, and honestly, they kind of terrify me while also giving me a weird sense of hope. When you use ChatGPT or Gemini or any of those big corporate models, you are not just querying a database. You are willingly feeding a global intelligence apparatus. They take your inputs, your late-night anxieties, your weirdly specific coding questions, and they use them to train their models. They build memory profiles on you. It's an invisible surveillance state dressed up as a helpful assistant. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy talking to a microphone in a dark room. Still, the reality is, it's creepy. It's the kind of dystopian corporate overreach that cyberpunk authors warned us about, only it's disguised in a sleek, user-friendly interface with rounded corners and pastel colors. PewDiePie's Odysseus is different. It's a self-hosted interface. That means it runs on your hardware. It sits on your computer, isolated from the cloud. You download the models, like literal, open-source language models from the internet, and you run them locally. When you ask it a question, that data doesn't travel to a server farm in California. It stays in your room. It is a closed loop. And the crazy part? It actually works. In the video I was watching about this, the guy fires it up, connects a model called Quopus, which is apparently some Frankenstein AI built from stolen bits of Claude and Quen, and asks it to research Final Fantasy Rebirth. And it does. It searches the local network, pulls data, and gives a coherent sourced answer. It's not perfect. It hallucinates, just like any AI, but it's yours. This isn't just about downloading a tool. It's about a massive philosophical shift. We have spent the last 2 decades trading away our digital autonomy for convenience. We let Google read our emails to show us better ads. We let Facebook track our relationships to keep us engaged. We let these companies build massive, invisible infrastructure around us, and we just accepted it because the alternative was... what? Being left behind? But projects like Odysseus, even if they are imperfect, represent a crack in the foundation of this hyper-corporate internet. It's a return to the ethos of the early web, where people own their own little plots of digital land. It's a rejection of the idea that we have to be perpetually monitored to participate in the modern world. For real though, it's kind of cringe how quickly we just surrender everything. I remember a few years ago, I was talking to a buddy of mine. Let's call him Mark. Mark is the kind of guy who has Alexa in every room of his house. He loves it. He thinks it's hilarious to yell at an empty room to turn off the lights. But one night, we were hanging out, and we started talking about a really obscure brand of coffee. Neither of us had ever searched for it. We were just talking. The next day, I kid you not, Mark sends me a screenshot. His Instagram feed was flooded with ads for that exact coffee. It's a cliche at this point, the whole "our phones are listening to us" thing. But it's real, and it's exhausting. It's this constant, low-level paranoia that you are never truly alone. And that's the burnout society in a nutshell, isn't it? We are exhausted by the perpetual surveillance. We are exhausted by the hyper-consumerism that uses our own data against us. We are lonely, and we turn to these digital tools for connection or distraction, but they only end up isolating us further because they commodify our very thoughts. So when a massive creator like PewDiePie, who has arguably benefited from the algorithms and the corporate internet more than almost anyone, steps back and says, actually, maybe we should host our own stuff. It matters. It's a signal that the pendulum might be swinging back. Now, let's be real for a second. Odysseus isn't a flawless masterpiece of software engineering. The code is apparently chaotic. People who actually know how to program have looked at the repository and basically called it a disaster. They say it's AI vibe slop, meaning PewDiePie probably used other AIs to write a lot of the code, resulting in this bloated, inefficient mess. There are security concerns and 800 pull requests sitting there like a massive tangled knot. Anyways, it doesn't even matter that the code is messy. The significance isn't in the perfection of the code. It's in the attempt. It's in the sheer willpower of saying, I want this technology, but I want it on my terms. Think about the implications of having local AI that you control. The video I watched mentioned using a local, multimodal AI to handle taxes. Just texting an image of a receipt to a bot running on a hard drive in the closet, and it automatically categorizes it and puts it into a spreadsheet. No cloud service, no monthly subscription, no corporate oversight, just raw, localized utility. It's the democratization of artificial intelligence. Right now, AI is a rich man's game. It requires massive data centers, impossible amounts of electricity, and billions of dollars in infrastructure. The big tech companies want to keep it that way. They want to be the gatekeepers. They want to rent you access to their godlike machines. But if we can run functional, useful AI on a gaming PC or a MacBook, that changes everything. It takes the power out of the hands of the Silicon Valley monoliths and puts it back onto the desk of the average person. It reminds me of the early days of personal computing. Before Apple and Microsoft locked everything down into walled gardens, there was this wild west of homebrew software. People building their own machines, writing their own code, sharing it on floppy disks. It was messy, it crashed a lot, and it was hard to use, but it was free. Not just free as in it didn't cost money, but free as in liberty. It was yours. We lost that somewhere along the way. We traded the messy freedom of the early internet for the polished, sterile, surveillance-heavy convenience of the modern web. We accepted the bargain because the polished tools were just so much easier to use. But Odysseus and projects like it, like Open Web UI or local instances of Stable Diffusion, they feel like a resurgence of that old spirit. It's the digital equivalent of growing your own vegetables instead of buying them from a massive supermarket chain. The supermarket is easier, sure. The tomatoes are always perfectly red and uniform. But the ones you grow yourself, they might be a little misshapen. They take effort and dirt and time, but they taste real. And most importantly, you know exactly what went into them. And that brings us back to you sitting in the dark, bathed in that blue light. The exhaustion you feel isn't just lack of sleep. It's the spiritual weight of being constantly observed, constantly analyzed, constantly sold to. It's the fatigue of existing in a system designed to extract every ounce of value from your attention. Taking back your privacy, running your own servers, hosting your own AI, it might seem like a niche, nerdy hobby, but it's actually a profound act of rebellion. It is a refusal to participate in the extraction. It is a way of saying, my thoughts, my questions, my late-night anxieties, they belong to me. You don't have to be a tech wizard to start taking back control. It's easier now than it has ever been. Tools are being built, messy and imperfect as they are, that make local hosting accessible. The corporate internet wants you to feel helpless. They want you to believe that their way is the only way. But it's not. There is another path. It requires a little more friction, a little more effort, but at the end of that path is autonomy. So maybe next time you have a weird question at 2 a.m, instead of feeding it to the machine, you feed it to your own. You keep the answer and you keep your privacy. It's a small step, but it's a step towards reclaiming the digital landscape. It's a step towards remembering that the internet was supposed to be a tool for us, not a tool to harvest us. If you made it this far and this kind of thinking resonates with you, consider joining our community. We have a Discord where we talk about this stuff all the time. Digital autonomy, the philosophy of technology, and just trying to stay sane in a hyper-connected world. It's a quiet corner of the internet where we're trying to build something real. Take care of yourselves, build your own spaces, protect your peace, and we will talk again soon.